Greetings, my name is Jim Lindsay. This is the orientation session for CIS 320. Welcome to the class. Thank you for taking it. In this orientation session, I will be telling you about the same things that you would hear about if we were meeting face-to-face at that first meeting. And I'll give you hopefully a good description of what you should expect, set the expectations for the next 5 weeks and let you know what I foresee us doing, and at least help you come up with questions so you can contact me and let me know if you have any questions. But let's get started. And so what I wanted to do was show you the Blackboard site and go through the syllabus and the class calendar, and then give you a rundown of the first week so you know what to how to basically proceed through this first week. And let's get started with that. So I'm going to begin with the Blackboard site here. And as you see, as you scroll up and down on this announcement page, when you come to the Blackboard site, you're always going to get here first, and I will post announcements about what we're doing at any given time, as well as I'll try to post reminders. This is the best way for me to communicate with you, and this is the way that I will do that. It is an online course. We'll never meet face-to-face for anything, so make sure that you're checking this very frequently, if not daily, every other day, making sure that you're staying up to date with what you need to do. So this is the announcement page. The next page on the site, Instructor Info, this gives you my contact information. You have my phone number, which is listed right here. This is a Google Voice number. When you call this, it's going to say, state your name, and then it's going to take a second and it will forward that to my cell phone. And so that's how you reach me. You also have my email address. Please call me first. If it's before 8 o'clock in the evening or before, call me. That's going to be much faster than having to go through email. But you can email me if you wish, but those are the ways to contact me. As far as the syllabus and class calendar go, they are right there, and we're going to cover those in detail in just a moment. And this class calendar is tentative. If I need to update that, I will. So don't take it as gospel, because next week, if I need to change something, I reserve the right to do that. The next page, the lessons and assignments. This is where you're going to spend most of your time. You'll see that the page is going to be divided up into modules, and the first module is called penny, the next module is called nickel, the next module is called dime. You can see where I'm going with this, basically naming it after different denominations of money. And so our first one is called penny. When you look inside of penny, you'll see that there are lessons and there are also assignments. And so when you go into lessons, for example, you'll see that there are several different folders in here. And when I show you the class calendar in just a little bit, you'll see that these directly correlate to what you're seeing in the calendar. So you can see what you're supposed to be working on. And I would pretty much work on it in this order. So those are the lessons for this module. For this module, there's also there could be anywhere from 1 to 2 or 3 different assignments. In this case, this first week, there's only one assignment. You can see that the due date is listed right there. And when you see the calendar, you'll see that the due dates are also listed there. So that's what you see on this lessons and assignments page. That's where you're going to spend 99% of your time when you're at Blackboard. The tools is exactly what you're used to. You can check your grades from here. You can communicate with me and other people through this page right here. And then I left the link for the information technology service desk. If you click on that, it basically opens up another tab, and it goes to the service desk for WKU and IT. It has their phone number and chat, etc. So use that to reach out to the IT support people if you need to. So that's the bottom link right there. Okay, so let's go back to the syllabus and class calendar. And if you click on these, it opens up another tab in your browser, and they look like this. Here's the syllabus. I can zoom in there so it's a little bit bigger text. If you have this, if you have a printout of this and you want to be going through your hard copy while I present it to you, that's fine. I emailed this to the class about a week ago. I've made one change to it. I made one change in the point values, and you'll see that, and I'll point that out to you in just a minute. But let's run through this. We would, of course, do this in person if we were in a face-to-face class. CIS 320 is called Personal Information Technology, and I think we've had one adjunct, maybe two adjunct instructors at some point in history, but I think I'm the main person who's probably about other than those two, the only person who's ever taught this. This has been my class. This is part of the CIS, the Computer Information Systems minor, and this particular course has been a lot of fun for me to teach for many years. And in it, what we cover are obviously personal information technologies, but on top of that, it's also been sort of a miscellaneous container, and we've taught things in it that I basically want our minors to come away with that aren't covered elsewhere. And so that we've covered some pretty weird stuff in here, and that's been fun to teach. Personal information technology is basically technology that an individual is going to use in the business world that, in my opinion, basically sets you apart. It makes you a more powerful computer user than your peers, which don't get this sort of training. Examples of personal information technology, you'll see several of those throughout the lessons in this week, and I want you identifying those for yourself, especially within your discipline. But this first little bit of the syllabus talks about what we're going to be looking at as we go through the class, and we'll be looking at things like a very good example of a personal information technology is LinkedIn. We're going to spend 4 weeks on that, and I want your LinkedIn profile to be rock solid by the time we get done with this class. And when I covered LinkedIn like we're going to do, when I covered I covered it with in person last fall. By the time we got done with the unit, basically a guy got a job offer, and that's my goal for you guys too. Is I want you to have a really good profile out there, and I want you networking and reaching out to people, not only through your own connections but through your connections, and really marketing yourself in such a way that you're finding jobs that you want. You're finding companies that you otherwise wouldn't have heard of, and following those companies and following individuals at those companies, and thereby collecting intelligence and basically helping yourself get opportunities that you may not otherwise have had. So that's a really good example of a personal information technology. Your generic information technologies would be things that are used by entire corporations, like Microsoft Exchange. That is an email application which is used by like Western Kentucky University, and individuals may use Outlook, which is a personal program which you can then connect to things like Exchange servers and then manage your daily calendar, individuals to whom you are connected, drafting and sending messages and that sort of thing. But at the enterprise level, that's not where we want to spend time. We don't want to be working at that enterprise level, at the Exchange level. We want to be at the Outlook level, at the LinkedIn level. I want to show you something called Hootsuite. This is a really cool program where basically it's a website, and through Hootsuite, if you're using multiple social media accounts, Hootsuite allows you to connect to those, and then through that one website you can manage all of those accounts. And so it's great because then you just log into one thing, and then from there you have this dashboard which shows you everything else, and then you just start to manage the multiple things from the one. It's a huge time saver. You can also schedule stuff. You can schedule tweets. You can schedule posts to go out on Facebook or to Instagram, etc. So it's pretty great, and it's free. So I'll show you that as well. I'm going to show you things like Doodle. Doodle is a platform where you basically can get a bunch of people to figure out common days and times when you're all available. It's also free. The way I'm going to use that, I'm going to have you set up Doodle possible doodle days and times for when you're available for certain weeks of this class, and then send the doodle invitations to me. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to look and see when I'm also available compared to you, find a common time, and then you and I will then connect with one another. You and I will connect to each other twice through Zoom. And you will also be the person who sets up those Zoom meetings. I'm going to show you how to do that. And so based on the doodle meeting that we agree on, then you'll set up a Zoom meeting, and I will then connect to you through the Zoom link that you send me, and then I'll have you show me certain things about your homework. So that's where we're going with this, and that's where I hope that you're. I hope that sounds interesting and exciting for you. That's what we'll be doing. So there's basically the overview. Here's my contact information again. You have my phone number, you have my email address. As far as required materials go, there are 2 books, and I sent this out a week or so ago. I wish I'd sent that out earlier. I apologize, I didn't. But here are the 2 books. The first one is this design book, and there's a link here to Amazon.com where you can get that very inexpensively. The second one is this LinkedIn book by Barth, and there's also an Amazon link there. What they look like, if you go to those Amazon pages, this is the design book, and as you can see, as of June 7th, the price for a new one is $33.24. There's a rental for $25.55. Either one is fine. There's a 3rd edition of this book you could also get. This is the 4th edition. I love this book. Of all the books I've chosen as a teacher, and I'm finishing my 18th year, or I've finished my 18th year, so we're starting the 19th. This is my favorite book I've ever chosen. I love Robin Williams' work. She is a really great author. And what you're going to find when you get in here, there aren't a lot of words on it. There are lots and lots of pictures. And what she does is she basically is teaching you design principles. And so things like contrast, repetition, alignment, proximity, and how do you use those in order to put together really good-looking web pages or graphics or desktop published documents. And so that's the sort of thing that we're going to use this for. One component of our class, 30% of our class is the desktop publishing component, and this is what we'll use as the guide for the principles that we follow. So this is one of the books right here. The second one is this Barth book right here. It's a good book. It's inexpensive. You can see it's $10.99 if you buy it new. You could also get a used one. That's fine. It's a paperback book, and it's about I don't have it sitting right here in front of me. It's a couple of 100 pages long. It's a good book, and we're going to cover much of it. We won't cover every single part of it, but what he does, I think, especially well, is he basically helps you learn about how to leverage a network. Basically, reach out and make contacts with people that you know, and then through their contacts, reaching out even further. And as I already mentioned, using all those different contacts to basically come up with a really good picture of the companies that you want to work at and where you want to apply and how to best interview. So I think I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to impart to you a lot of really valuable information about that resource, about LinkedIn, and we'll use this book as the vehicle to get us there. So get those books. Again, it's the design book right there and the LinkedIn book right there. Okay, so I'm back in the syllabus. You need a computer. This is an online class, and you signed up for an online class, and so you have to have a computer. That could be a Windows computer, that could be an Apple computer. If you have a Windows computer, and I tried to survey you guys, and about 11 of you have replied to me with your computer requirement, your computer's specifications. Thank you for that. So far, only one person has come back saying that they have an Apple. So either type of computer is fine, but you have to have a computer and you have to have a fast internet connection. We're going to be doing a lot of work. This is a 5-week class, and we're going to do 15 weeks worth of work in 5 weeks. I mean, this is what we would have done during the semester, and so that's what we do during the summer. So every week's about 3 weeks. So you don't have time for computer trouble. So make sure you have your computer running and that you have an internet connection. I would advise you to try and find a backup if something goes wrong with your hardware or your internet connection. Have somewhere that you can fall back to in order to get things done, especially if you're approaching a deadline. But that's where that's what you guys need to have and make sure is in place. It's basically solid hardware and software. Again, this is not this is online, so we don't meet face to face. There are 2 Zoom meetings that you will schedule with me. Again, you're going to be the one who sends me the doodles to basically. So when we meet is going to be based on your availability, and so we will both be available. But you will do 2 Zoom meetings with me. But besides that, everything else is going to be online, and I'll use Blackboard to deliver all the instructional content to you. As you read this section right here, as you read through, it starts talking about academic dishonesty. Essentially what this says is don't cheat. It'd be really hard to cheat in this class because everything is project-based. Everything is almost custom project-based. But if you cheat on something, if you have somebody else do something for you, or if you cheat on something and I figure it out, the consequence of it basically is that I fail you. And so as you can see right here, I'm a really strong believer in this. You need to do your own work. If you forget something, there's nothing on here that you have to do that's going to totally wreck a grade. So if you just forget something, that stinks, but let it go. Don't get yourself failed because you forgot one thing, right? So that's my policy on cheating. If you have any questions about it, please let me know. But that is I wanted to let you know that is there. So now let's take a look at what we're going to do. Okay, let's get this where you can pretty much see it all. You need to read, and you need to watch tutorials, and you need to watch some lessons, some lectures. Hopefully there are more tutorials than lectures. And then we're going to be doing projects. 100% of your grade comes from projects. There are no multiple choice tests. Everything is going to be proven by doing. I'm going to show you and show you how to do things. I'm going to give you lessons over different principles, and then you have to implement those and create documents. You have to create your LinkedIn profile that includes X, Y, and Z. You have to connect with me through Doodle and then through Zoom. You have to share your desktop and then show me X, Y, and Z on your computers. That is your homework. So I mean, that's how this thing works. And so those are the activities we will be completing. And if you have questions about those, let me know. As far as the grading goes, this is where there is an update. You'll see that this introductory personal information technology project, in the initial email I sent you guys talking with the initial syllabus, I had that valued at 10%. I've chosen to raise that to 20%. So that project is worth 20% of your total grade, and it has 2 parts. The first one being in week 1, the second part being in week 3. Double check that. Yeah, in week 3, the second part will come due. You're going to have those 2 times that you connect. We make a doodle meeting together, and then you connect with me through Zoom a couple of times. That together makes 10% of your grade. There are 4 chunks to the LinkedIn project, and that makes up for 40% of your grade. And there are 3 chunks of desktop publishing that you do. Each of those is worth 10%, and so you can see altogether it comes up with 30%. So those are the weights, and you get all. You do this work, you get these grades, and altogether that comes up to 100% of your grade. The final day to withdraw from this class without a grade is June 10th, and the last day to drop with a grade of W is June 30th. The grading scale is a standard grading scale. You can look at it right there. It's pretty much exactly what you're used to. And if you have questions about that, let me know. Okay, so please read this about grading. Much of what we do is graded subjectively. What that means is you'll turn in, for example, a desktop published document, and then I have to weigh that and look at that and determine how many points you get on that. That's unlike a math problem. In a math problem, you got it right or you didn't. And so as you look at this list right here, these different categories, what makes up A quality work versus D quality work, there are good descriptions for you of how I will assess those. And so please take a look at those and let me know what sort of questions you have. But that is a good description of how I will evaluate your work, and I will do my best to give you a rubric which you can use as you work. A rubric, of course, being a framework of how I'm going to grade it. But in addition to hands-on work, by the way, each project, you saw that there's going to be a multi-part LinkedIn project, multi-part desktop publishing project, multi-part personal information technology project. Much of that's going to be writing, and it has to be. I mean, it's writing is an essential skill. You have to, when you graduate, you have to be able to communicate through the written word, and you need to be able to articulate what you're trying to communicate effectively. And so each one of these projects, the PIT project, the LinkedIn, and the desktop publishing, there's a written component to all of those. And so you will be typing. They're not formal papers. It's not like where you're using APA or Chicago or whatever citation formats. But you're writing assessments of things and critiquing things based on, for example, with the desktop publishing, you'll create a flyer or a newsletter or a brochure, and then you'll need to critique that thing that you created based on those principles that you learned about: contrast, repetition, alignment, proximity, the different font schemes that you use, the different color schemes that you used, what sorts of relationships exist between those different typefaces, are they contrasting, are they concordant, those sorts of things. And so you have to be able to articulate and talk about those things, and you do that through writing. And so be aware that there is a written component to all these things, and that's just the way it is. So please contact me if you have questions, but I will, I'll try to give you as much information as I can as we go, but that, again, I'm just trying to paint as accurate a picture as I can. I will communicate with you through email, and I will send that email through Blackboard. Whatever Western thinks is your preferred email address, that's where it's going to go. If you check your WKU email on a regular basis, or whatever email address that you have set up as your primary one, because that's how I will communicate with you. We've already talked about Blackboard. Here are some things that you may not be familiar with. If you are a veteran, or if you are a family member of a veteran, there is something called the Military Student Services office on campus. Really great place. It's over in Gary Ransdell Hall. That's the address right there. And for this course, I doubt they have the textbooks, but for a lot of courses, they do have textbooks. And so if you are, again, one of that status, it's a benefit you've earned through your service. Take advantage of what this office can help you with. And so they can help you with textbooks. They can help you with tuition assistance support. So check that out from that office right there, and I have links out to their websites. Okay, let's go on down to there's also a discounted military tuition rate for family members, which is great. The Americans with Disabilities Act accommodations. If anybody has something from SARC, the Student Accessibility Resource Center, if you have any sorts of accommodation letters, you need to get those to me now. I need those so I can look at those, and then also if you have something like that from that office, send that to me. Take a picture of it with your phone and send it to me. Text it to me. or email it to me, and then give me your phone number so I can call you so we can talk about it. These items right here, the Title IX and harassment, sorry, it's a loud 9. So if this discrimination Title IX statement right here in the testing center, hopefully you're getting information about this in all of your syllabi, but if you experience any sort of harassment and at any part through any part of WKU, please report that. And you can report it to teachers, you can report it to instructors like myself, or you can report it to people at the, basically the Title IX office, which you can see like here's Michael Crow and Joshua Hayes. And also there's the Counseling and Testing Center right down here, and you can report it there as well. Or you can go to the Counseling and Testing Center and get help with anxiety or depression. If you experience basically harassment, sexual harassment, and you want to report that in a confidential manner, you need to go through the counseling and you go through the counseling center. If you go through teachers, if you go through these people right up here like Michael Crow, Joshua Hayes, we're called responsible employees, and by law we have to report that up our chain of command. So if you experience something like that and you want to report it confidentially, instead go through the Counseling and Testing Center and talk to Dr. Lavis or one of the people there, and they will also help you with it. But if you go that way, then you basically are able to maintain confidentiality if you wish. So wanted to make sure you knew about those two items right there. And then lastly, there is a food pantry on campus. I'm sure you're well aware of COVID-19 and all the different, it's turned everything upside down. People are out of work, people are struggling to pay bills. If you are short on food, there's a link right here to the Sustainability Office website, and basically it has a phone number at their website, and you can meet them and you can basically show up and you make an appointment, no questions asked, and you can get food. If you're in a situation where you're needing to get something to eat, do it. Here's a way to get that sort of help. So these are resources that are available for you on campus. If you have questions about any of this, let me know. So that's the syllabus. Now what I'll do, I'd like to go over to the class calendar and show you that and what to expect this first week. Okay, so I'm back at the syllabus and class calendar page of the Blackboard site. If you click on this link for the summer tentative class calendar, it looks like this. And again, it may change. It is subject to change. But as you can see, the different modules, each week is a module. We have 5 weeks of class. And I named them after different coins: penny, nickel, dime, quarter, and $half. Nobody sees a $half anymore, but that's still a thing. And so these are the 5 different coins after which our modules are named. In each of these modules, you'll see we're going to learn about different things. And so there's some repetition as you go through here. The first module, the penny module, is the longest list of, but it's also the easiest. So you'll see, for example, what you're supposed to do in this first week is complete the orientation, which you're doing right now. Good job. You're supposed to complete the personal information technology lessons. You're supposed to watch a couple of different tutorials, one over Doodle, which you'll use yourself next week, the Sign Up Genius and Google Voice tutorials, which I ask you questions about in this first week's homework. And then there's some design lessons, which you'll put into practice next week. And there's a desktop publishing tutorial, which you'll start to put to use next week. So some of this stuff you use right away with this personal information technology project, part 1. And some of it you're learning now so you can employ it a little bit later. And some of this stuff is just straight up cumulative. For example, the design principles, what you learn this week, I will fully expect you to be using in week 5 as well. So don't forget about it after you learn it. Try and retain it, because this is again which is a lot easier in a summer class, right? Because it's only 5 weeks versus 15. But I will expect you to retain this information as you go forward. You'll see next week I'm going to give you the Zoom tutorials. We're also going to get into LinkedIn next week. There'll be some more design. You'll get a little bit of design each week. You'll get a little bit of desktop publishing each week. And then you can see when these different assignments are due. All homework assignments are due at 11:59 p.m. on the last day of the module. So for example, with this penny module, the first thing, the homework you have this week is this Personal Information Technology Project Part 1. So this is due at 11:59 p.m. on June 14th. That's when that's due. In this next week, you're going to have the Doodle project, LinkedIn project, this desktop publishing Part 1 of 3, and they're all due at 11:59 p.m. on June 21st. So basically every Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. that's when things are due. You cannot turn stuff in late. You need to get, so please, work ahead if you can. That way, if you've got problems, you can contact me and we can work on resolving it. But if you send me a message at like 11:30 on Sunday night, I'm not going to get that. And at that point, it's, you're kind of like in the on your own zone at that point. So try and work ahead if you can, and I'll try and get stuff posted sooner than later for you. I am redoing this class. There's much of this class that I'm creating from scratch, and so it's unlikely that I'm going to get like the whole thing out way in advance, but I'll do my best to get as much as I can out there as early as possible for you. So that is the calendar. Let me go to the lessons page one more time and show you, so for example, this is what you're supposed to be doing this week, right? And this directly correlates to what you're seeing on the Blackboard page. So we go over to lessons and assignments. You'll see that in this penny module, you'll see here are the lessons. These are the different things. Like in the class orientation, guess what? You're already watching that. Boom, you're done with it. Good job. Come back here to the Personal Information Technology page, and you'll see that there are 4 different short lessons I want you, video interviews I want you to watch, and there's even a description up here telling you what this is and how to do it. So you go through and you watch those videos. I'm really proud of those videos. I hope that you will enjoy those a lot. I've been spending a lot of time getting those arranged, and then the interviews conducted, and then compiling all that video and putting those together. I hope that you're going to like those. The people I spoke with in those videos, some of them are students, but not all of them. All but one graduated from WKU with their bachelor's degree. And so you have Hilltoppers that you're hearing from that have graduated anywhere from 1 year ago to 9 years ago. And what really made me start thinking about this is like when you hear about people go to job interviews and they say, where do you want to be in 1 year or 3 years or 5 years or 10 years? I mean, these people are you. And so as you look at this, I mean, these people that you're hearing from, these are people that have graduated from WKU, gone out, gotten jobs, and they're doing well. And so you're hearing their thoughts on these different topics and what their job experiences have been like with regard to technology. And what did we not teach them? Like in this one right here, when they got to the job, what did they not know that they wish they had known, and why? And so that's what this lesson's about. So again, as you get to this lessons page right here, this list basically lines up with what you're seeing in the calendar right over here, and that's what you need to be doing. If you have questions, what do? Anytime you have a question, easy. You call me, right? You got my number right there. Call me again if it's before 8 o'clock in the night. Give me a call, and I'll help you out. I'll answer your questions, help you out as much as I can. So that's it. That's the orientation. I hope that you will enjoy the course. I hope you're going to get a lot of valuable information from it. Please don't be a stranger. Let me know how I can assist you. And thank you for your time and attention.